Hello, people. Chapter 8 questions are number 2 and number 4 on page 171, so that's where I'm at here. And the reason I'm making this video is because there's a typo in here, and so I've had some questions about it, and it is a little tricky, especially number 4 is this shutdown rule. And as you can see here in number 3, where it says sunk cost principle, that's your book says let bygones be bygones. I call it spilt milk water near a bridge, but there's a video on D2L about this, but it's not specifically about this question exactly in number 4, so I'm going to go through these here. Right here is I'll show you the typo right here. This should say 10,000. Fixed cost is fixed no matter what. That's why it's called a sunk cost. And if you look in Chapter 8, there's a little section on that, but it's a bygone, so we've got to pay it anyway. It's like rent. It's like our mortgage. We've got to pay it whether we make anything. I can rent land from a farmer and just go lay in the field. I don't have to grow anything. But I still have to pay that fixed cost, that rent. So this should say 10,000. So I'm just going to go through over here on the board now this question. So if I've got 1,000 units and they cost me $10 a piece to make, my variable cost, which you had back from Chapter 7, is 10 grand on that. But then, remember, plus I have that 10 grand of fixed cost, which gives me 20 grand of my costs. Well, if I can only sell them right here, market price, so R minus E equals P, my expenses are 20 grand, my revenue, price times quantity, I'm going to do that down here, $5 a piece times 1,000, that's only giving me $5,000 of revenue. That doesn't cover my variable costs whatsoever. If I stay open, I'm going to lose $15,000. If I stay open, negative $15,000 for staying open. If I shut down, all I'm going to lose is 10 grand, my fixed cost. That's that fixed cost. This was fixed cost, variable cost, total cost. So if I stay open, I get the $5,000 of revenue, but I got 20 grand in cost, I lose 15 grand. So for part A, I want to shut down. When it's $5 a chip, just shut down. I'm only going to lose my 10 grand of fixed costs instead of 15 grand. So that's A. Now I'm going to do B. It says for B, we got $15 per chip. All right? $15 per chip. So same deal. I've got my fixed cost of 10 grand, plus now, plus my 10,000 for variable costs, and I've still got my total cost of 20 grand. But now this is 15, so I change that to 15. This now becomes minus 5. So if I stay open, I'm only going to lose 5,000, but if I shut down, I'll lose 10. So in part B, I stay open and lose the 5 grand. At least in the short run, that's better. Remember, this is in the short run. Over here, it's talking about long run and short run. I'm in the short run here. Unless it tells me I'm in the long run, I'm in the short run. And so remember, in the short run, I can only change my variable inputs. And fixed cost is a fixed input. I can't change it in the short run. So I stay open in the short run, only lose 5 grand instead of my 10 grand of fixed cost. Now my last one, $25 a chip. Well, I've still got still R minus E equals P. R is price times quantity. Well, price of 25 times 1,000 minus my 20 grand of fixed cost. Well, this is 25,000 minus 20,000 equals 5 grand. If I stay open, I make 5 grand. If I shut down, I pay 10 grand. Stay open. And if you don't want the 5 grand from staying open, people, just give it to me. I'll spend it for you, okay? So that's number 2. Now I'm going to go on to number 4. Number 4 is a little bit tricky if you don't remember what to substitute. So in number 4, we have to remember this. Marginal cost equals price. MC is marginal cost. So I'm going to move this up to number 4 here. So it says, examine the cost of data if you're from Kansas on table 8.1 and calculate when we've got a price of 21 bucks, a price of 40 bucks, and a price of 60 bucks. So now I'm going to go back to 8.1. You're just going to have to remember that stuff, okay? And it says, what would happen to the exit or entry of identical firms in the long run at each of these 3 prices? Now we're in the long run, where we can change all of our inputs. So I go back to table 8.1. Sorry, I got a little carried away there. And here's 8.1. And right away you see I've got a problem. It says to do a price of 21 first, but look at, there's no 21 on the whole chart. The whole chart has prices of 40. But wait, people, remember, marginal cost equals price. I'm a competitive firm. Look what it says here. Of a competitive firm. That means I'm a price taker. And if marginal cost is the additional cost of making one more, I have to at least charge that. That's what I charge. And look what it says here. Profit is maximized at production level where marginal cost equals price. So if they want a price of 21, I'll just substitute marginal cost, and here's 21. So now here's my information. And I see that I still am under the same formula. R minus E equals P. I'm still there. So revenue is price times quantity. Here I'm making 3,000 of them at 21 bucks. So $21 times 3,000 equals 63,000. Minus my cost, it cost me 130,000 to make the 3,000. Which gives me a negative 67,000. The question was, remember, what would firms do if they look at this and say, we're losing 67 grand in this market, where we have to take the price of 21. So what are we going to do if we're losing 60? Exit. We're going to exit the market. Well, think of the opportunity cost. You're organizing land, labor, and capital and taking a risk, and after all the work you put in, you're losing 67 grand. It's time to get out of it. So now let's do it for 40. Oh, no! This makes me hyperventilate. Look at all of it. Everything's 40. Oh, but wait. Marginal cost equals price. Profit is maximized at a production level when the marginal cost equals price. There it is. Marginal cost 40. So that's 4,000 of them at 40 bucks. $40 times the 4,000 I'm going to make, which gives me 160 grand of revenue, minus my cost to make them. That's 160 grand to make them. Gives me a profit of 0. Break even. Well, I'm okay right now. So what I do now, I have a little look. Here's what my mom would say. Have a little look. See what happens. Maybe something will turn for the better for you. You'll be able to turn a profit. Maybe you'll find a way to cut expenses. Maybe you'll find a way to raise revenue. I'm not sure what's going to happen. So I'm going to hang around and have a little look and see what happens. And now we look at the last one, 60. Well, remember, prices are all 40, but remember my substitution, marginal cost equals price. So I find marginal cost 60, and I see when it's 60, I'll work overtime and I'll make 5,000. If you're going to give me 60 bucks for it, I'm going to work overtime and get some. So now I've got a revenue of 300,000 minus the cost of making these 5,000, which is 210,000. Gives me a profit of 90,000 people. If we can make a profit of 90, firms are going to enter the market.
they're gonna see that and go, wait a minute, 90 grand spending cash? I'm gonna get in that market. So that's questions 2 and questions 4. I hope that helps you out. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.